What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Here we are sitting just below $63,000 with roughly 10 hours, 17 minutes left in the day. It's the 28th day of July. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into it. Okay, we're moving down, and this is exactly what we expected to happen, right? A lot of people, even still, I think, are bullish in this area, and you're going to see that bullishness maintain itself around the space. That confident bullishness that we're probably going to go above this high, you're going to see people cling to that until we start taking out these lows. Once we start taking out those lows, people will let go of that. They'll see that they're wrong. Of course, then we'll pump, and then we'll move down. We'll still be in this lower high, lower low kind of conjunction or consolidation. Either that, or we are literally about to send it through the floor. It's one of those two things. It's definitely end of bear market times. We're definitely getting there. And when we see the end of the bear market, let's just go through. We're on the index here. Let's go through on a weekly basis the last couple of end of bear market cycles, right? Looking at this here, the end of the bear market. We were here. We were consolidating for a while, but the end was here. We had a 22% drop in a week, right? Here, end of the bear market, we had a 29% drop in a week. It was a pretty harsh drop down. Here at the end of the bear market, this was not the end of the bear market. This is the end of the crab market, the consolidation phase. This is the beginning of the bull market, but this was the end of the bear market here. That was another 21% down, okay? End of the bear market here, pretty big bang, 26% down. So we've seen 20% plus weeks every single bear market finale that we've seen. We've had a rather tame bull market, and the way that it topped off was rather tame as well. Perhaps we have a rather tame bear market. Maybe we don't see a week that drops 20%. Maybe that would be too obvious. But I do expect something that is larger than the average candle. And let's just look and see here what these larger candles have been so far during this bear market. Here we had a 7% week. Here it was a 10% week. There, 8%. Here, 11%. Here, big wick. But from an open to a low, that was a 21% drop. That's end of bear market material right there. And then here, same kind of idea, 14%, but probably closer to 20% overall. We're definitely seeing smaller moves this cycle, both to the upside and to the downside. And it might make sense that instead of a 20% drop, we see something that's a little bit lesser than a 20% drop, like let's imagine a 15% drop in a week from open to close. It's possible that the end of the bear market could be right at 54K with the current week's open. It could be, somewhere lower that we see this finale kick in. Maybe it's a 4-week process like this, a 3-week process like this, a 4-week process like this. What I don't expect it to be is this long kind of meandering phase down. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I do believe that we're at the end of it here. I do believe we're getting there. You can kind of see it with the lows, right? Lower low here, lower low there. We're probably going to be rounding out this bottom. Maybe the pace picks up a little bit, but I don't expect anything too dramatic. And again, the area that we're calling for the low of this bear market to be in is somewhere between 55K at the highest, probably just below 55K, and 43K at the lowest. There's several things that point to that area. From a low to a high here on our most significant kind of pivotal moment in the bear market, the most significant consolidation phase that we had so far, the one where everybody was duped and thought that we were still in a bull market, or that we were done with the bear market and we were in a bull market. We weren't duped at all. We were very convinced we were still in a bear market. We were very convinced that we would find resistance in this range, with the possibility of going higher, but still very convinced that we would see lower lows than this all the way through. Just the way it moved, man. The way it moved. This is a bull market move. This was not a bull market move. Anyways, the target area 1272 to the 1618 would be 55 to 49K, 43K taking us down to the 200 level, and Bitcoin typically does like to find support in this area as well, so that's a good area. We could go lower. There are targets for lower prices, but we take this, we take the last cycle, the bull market high, bear market low here, bull market high here, and the 382 is right here at 56K. The 0.5 is at 44K. We've actually made a really, and maybe that's actually not the right high that I should take. I think it's this high that I should take. Not the fake out high, but this high. And with that, maybe even this high, because those are fake outs after fake outs. 43K. 43K. We made a really solid argument for why 43K might be in the works, because every cycle so far, and I'll do this really quickly because I don't want to spend too much time on this. I want to get into the shorter term stuff here. But the end of the bear market is on everybody's minds. Don't tell me it's not. Did we take this one? Did we measure this one? I forget if we did. Let's see. From a low to a high. Yeah, 236. You hit the 236, okay? Low to high, you hit the 236. Low to high here, you hit just under the 236, right? There's your bear market low, just under the 236. Low to high here. Next bull market, bear market low to bull market high. Now you hit the 382. So remember, at first you hit the 236, you found support there for your bear market low. This last cycle, you found support just under the 236. This cycle now, your bear market low is right at the 382. It's as if you're stepping down in the fibs, right? We keep on going, and lo and behold, this next bear market, we actually found support. Come on. We found support this time just below the 382 and right above the 0.5, right? 236 just below the 236, 382 just below the 382. Might it be that we step down to the 0.5? And I think that would be perfect. I think going to the 0.5, 43.6K, I think that would be perfect because we're finding support at prior resistance. We would give up this support zone, which I think a lot of people are expecting us to hold. If we don't hold this, everybody's looking to the golden ratio zone. So what you're gonna do here is you're gonna create a maximum kind of pain scenario where the people who are counting on this low to find support will feel disavowed. They'll feel lied to. They won't know what to think. And the only people who will claim that they're right the whole way, the whole time, are going to be the people who've been calling for prices that are below 40K. They're going to be like, I told you it was going to go below 40K, but then it'll bounce right here in the low 40K areas, right at the 0.5, kind of in this sequence of Fibonacci retracements all the way through. It'll be just below this low, which is enough to convince the people that expected to find support here that they are wrong, and just enough below this low to convince the people down here that they were right before it actually happens. And then you're going to have people who are too scared to buy, people who might sell thinking it's going to go lower, right? People who are eager to buy at lower prices because they think that they're right, so they're not going to buy it here. Why would they buy it here whenever it's going to go lower? And the reality is we're just not in that kind of a bear market, you guys. We're not in that kind of strong bear market where we see wicked moves of this magnitude. It can happen. This is Bitcoin, but just looking at how it's performed so far, to me it makes the most sense that 43.6K would be the lowest low to expect. And again, that's the 0.5. Maybe you go slightly below there. Maybe we hit 40K, maybe. But either we find support in these low areas just below the 382, as we have kind of the last two cycles, or we go down and find support at these high areas here on a closing basis, right at the 0.5. Either way, and that's at the 200. Let's actually look here and see at the 200 level, right? That's at the 200 level from this low to high. Let's see how we did in the bull market. See if there's any congruence there. You know, high here to a low here. 1414, not the 200, okay. High here to low here. You did not stop at the 200. You went to the 2618, actually. You went a little bit above the 2618 there. That's right. I think you hit the 2618 every step of the way through. High to low. Yeah, 2618 there. So deep extensions. I mean, it's possible. It's possible that you do go through the 200 level. I think every single step of the way we went through. Let's see. High to low here. 200, we stopped there. We found support at that level too. I don't know. It's anything can happen. Anything's possible. But that's the call. 55 to 43K. Let's look at the short-term stuff. Let's get into that. Okay, but I do expect that we're going to go lower. As we've been saying this whole cycle, right? A lot of people were duped on this low here because they were looking at the RSI and thinking here, you know, imagine just with this look. Look, guys, we found support. We're at the same area we found support last time, the same area here. What people didn't take into mind, what they weren't paying attention to, is the fact that these are all lower lows. And we're likely, as we've been saying all cycle, we're probably going to get lower lows. We even said this in the bull market, that when we get a bear market, we're probably going to see lower lows in the RSI and maybe even get the first readings that are in or at the oversold zone. I think that we have lower to go, all that to say. We're moving up a little bit here. We're in these low areas, but I think that we have lower to go, man. I think we have lower to go. People don't understand that the RSI is a trending. It's got a dynamic of trending. It's got trending dynamics built into it, right? It's not just this thing that hits this level and then bounces. It can be that simple in certain aspects, but most of the time you do see trends, and you've got a trend here, lower highs, lower lows throughout its whole existence. That's just been the reality. Stochastics are oversold. We typically see these oversold conditions near the end of the bear market, right? MACD near the zero. We've seen that the last like few bear markets in a row. These oscillators right here at the zero, we're there. We're there in a time perspective. I just don't think that we're there yet in a price perspective. Here's something that I think was interesting. This kind of I don't know what it makes me feel. It makes me feel a little uneasy, I guess. Because this is a 3-month time frame, okay? 3-month time frame. We have 2 months, 3 days left in this 3-month time frame, okay? Every bear market here, if you're looking at the 3-month, every single bear market, well, so far we look at the RSI, hasn't seen lower lows in the RSI, to be fair. You have found support right in this area. And in this case, because you didn't see lower lows at all steps of the way, maybe this is an adequate area to find support. But with the stochastics, every single cycle you've seen lows at the oversold zone, and we're pretty far away from there. Again, 3 months, I mean 2 months from now, that's September. If we're closing this 3-month period around 40K or below 50K, I think that might be enough to move this stochastics down here where we typically have found support. But also looking at the MACD, the last time that we flipped red on the 3-month MACD, we flipped red and we stayed red. Let's see, we flipped red. To be fair, we actually flipped red right at the bear market low. So we flipped red right at the bear market low 3-month candle. Here we are, flipping red right here at this potentially bear market low 3-month candle. We have 2 months, 3 days left in this 3-month candle. So kind of an interesting thought there. Let's get into the short-term stuff. I keep wanting to talk about it, but giving you some things to think about on the long term. Anybody who thinks that the bear market's over right now, that we're at the low points, maybe. It's possible, but it's also possible that you're wrong. I don't think that we are at the end of the bear market. At least, I mean, we're getting there. I think we're there in a time perspective, just not in a price perspective. And the question here that I have, really, the main question that I have here, which I'm not confident either way, is, are we still consolidating? And then do we break out later? Or was what we saw here on the 21st of July, was this the beginning of this bear market finale move, right? Like here, it wasn't so obvious over these weeks, but this was the beginning of that finale move. This is when it really took shape, but this is the beginning of it. I'm really starting to come around to the idea that this is the beginning of the bear market finale. At first, I was leaning toward the idea that it's going to be this slow, meandering thing. We'll come back up, and then the finale happens from a different top. But I'm really starting to believe that it might happen from here. And if it does happen from here, that would put our low in August, which to me makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense that the low would be in August. I've heard a lot of people over the past week, a lot of people have said basically the same thing about the bear market. They expect it to end early. Everybody's expecting it to end early, and everybody's expecting it to end in October or September. So, and whenever I say everybody, I mean literally I've probably heard a dozen different takes on when this bear market's going to be over. And those dozen takes could be the outliers. Who knows? Maybe they're the outliers. But whenever I hear literally over 12 people saying the same thing, which is that we're going to have a shorter bear market. Potentially it ends in September, but if not, October, November. So that September, October, November time frame is what people are thinking. Whenever everybody's thinking that, the logical thing, in my opinion, would be to consider something different. So either earlier or later. The bear market will either end later than people are expecting. We'll have a right translated bear market, a left translated bull market, or maybe we have a left translated bear market and it is an earlier bear market than people expect. Instead of September, October, November, maybe it's August that we find the low. And if we're kicking this off right now, guys, 3 weeks from now, middle of August, 4 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now, end of August, that time, we could be there. We could absolutely be there. And in accordance to this 3-month time frame, we would still have one more month to go before closing, and we really want this to be low so that the stochastics suggest the same thing they have every single time, that we're at the bear market low. We want that. I want a low close for this 3-month period, which is perfect because every bear market low that we've seen in Bitcoin's history has resulted, right, here's the low, in something that was over a month in consolidation, boring time. Over a month's worth of consolidation, boring time. This was like a year's worth of consolidation, boring time. I think the very first bear market, which again is kind of debatable if it was a bear market, is the only one that we really didn't consolidate much, but still, you had a double bottom here. And you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the 7th week, that's when you kind of started really breaking out. You know, here, after 4 weeks, that's when you found your low that you bounced from. That was the technical bear market low, but you were in this area for like 4 weeks. So again, just the idea that, I don't even know, is that a bear market? Is that a bear market, or is that just one big bull market overall? I don't know. It depends on who you're asking, I suppose. It just makes sense to me that if we bottom in August and then we consolidate through September, we'll get that 3-month close that we're looking for. And then October comes along, and what is October 1 month away from? It's 1 month away from the midterms. And the midterms, likely what we're going to see are low gas prices. Things are going to chill with the Iran war. Stocks are probably going to go up. And I would assume crypto goes up in price as well. Why? Because number going up for certain things and number going down for certain things like gas makes the economy happy. It makes the people happy. They like to see it. And when the people are happy, they just might vote in favor of the current administration that brought them these happy conditions, right? That's my assumption. This isn't a new tactic. This is something we've seen throughout the history of the United States. Administration after administration does this, and it just makes sense that we might see friendlier times. And then on top of that, we have this FOMC meeting coming up tomorrow, right? The FOMC meeting coming up tomorrow, and then 6 weeks from now is another FOMC meeting, right? Because they're every 6 weeks. So if we have it coming up tomorrow, it's this week. 6 weeks from now, let's see, six weeks from now would put us in September. In September for the next FOMC meeting. We typically drop after FOMC meetings. What if we get a rate hike here or a rate cut here, whatever the case may be? That's enough time, the beginning of September, that's enough time where we can digest that. We can get the buy the hype, sell the news event, whatever. We can digest that and then start to rally off of that later. You know, maybe going into October we'll hear, because there's going to be another 6 weeks from there that the next FOMC meeting is. That'll be October 19th. Maybe there will be more dovish news that they're going to cut rates. And that, or that they're not going to be hiking rates for the rest of the year. Imagine they hike rates tomorrow and they hike rates in September. That will seem like very end of bear market stuff. You've got BitMEX shutting down. You've got all these crypto exchanges shutting down and institutions shutting down. It's end of bear market vibes. We just need that final push down in price. We need that capitulation candle in price, and I think we're about to see it. And I'm really coming around to theorizing that we are in the midst of it right now, actually. People are bullish. People are unwittingly bullish. They're just bullish because we've gone below this low, literally. But we're finding resistance. We're doing bear market stuff right here. We're finding resistance at prior support. This isn't good. Okay, this isn't good. It makes me think that we are going to go lower. At least see something like this before breaking down. But I wouldn't be surprised if we just broke down, guys. And again, we made a lot of sense out of that 43K area, but we don't have to go that low. There's plenty of sense to be made out of the 50 to 55K area, 49 to 48K area. 43K is the lowest end. It doesn't have to be there. I'm not convinced completely where we're going to go. But by the way of the fib, that 43.5K area it really does make a lot of sense. So I don't know. That's all I have. Daily RSI looks like it's about to break down. Stochastics are bearish. The MACD is definitely bearish, actually. I mean, it's very rare that you get a bearish MACD whenever your oscillator's above the zero, but it is bearish here. Look at all this bullish momentum you built up, and look at what you did with it. Look at all this bullish momentum, all this green that you saw on the MACD. Look at what you did with it, right? The last time that you saw green like this, you were here, and look at what you did with it. Hey, that was still not bullish enough to end a bear market, but it was at least more than what we're seeing here. The bulls are trying harder. We're getting less results, okay? It's not good. The bears barely took over, barely red, and we saw more results to the downside than the upside. The bears are in control. They're in complete control, and until the last seller sells, we're going to be in this bear market, okay? Until everybody's afraid to buy, which, except for the smart money, that's when we're going to be in a bear market. I really do believe we're going to go, I personally do believe we're going to go below 50K. 55 to 43K is the overall area that I'm expecting we go to. But I really do believe we're going to go below 50K. I think that's what we're going to see. That'll be the end of the bear market. That will be where forevermore I will be screaming, buy, 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 like the Backstreet Boys. Buy, 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 buy. I think that's the Backstreet Boys. Or is it NSYNC? Oh, man. I don't know. I never got into them. You know, I know that's everybody's guilty pleasure when they were kids. And they never did it for me. But they kind of do now. Now it's kind of nostalgic, you know. I know it's a sin, but I live in the mountains, man. We listen to bluegrass and country music. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.